If I told you there was a way to overcome every past hurt without carrying its weight, would you believe me? Because let's be honest, staying silent, cutting off contact, those are just temporary fixes. They leave room for hope. They keep you waiting, wondering if that person will ever come back. But what I'm about to share with you, it's different. It's not about disappearing. It's about becoming so strong that no one can shake you again. And here's the best part. At that point, they won't just remember you, they'll regret ever leaving, not because you played mind games, not because you chased them, but because you've grown so much that they no longer fit in your world. This isn't about waiting for a text. It's not about hoping they'll notice. It's about mastering yourself, building an inner strength so powerful that the past loses its grip on you. Because this story, it's not about them, it's about you. You, the person who once suffered, who once thought silence was enough, but today you'll discover something stronger. And by the end of this video, you'll have a principle that will help you let go, focus on yourself, and allow them to realize your value on their own. So, if you're ready for this journey, support the Stoic philosophy by subscribing and turning on notifications. If this message hit home, comment 1. If you have feedback, comment 2, so I can improve future videos. Now, let's begin. 1. The collapse. When no contact is not enough. A man shattered by love. He never saw it coming. One moment she was everything. Late-night conversations, shared laughter, inside jokes only they understood. Deep moments that made him believe this was unbreakable. And then, in an instant, she was gone. No long explanation, no apology, just a cold goodbye that cut through his heart like a knife. He stood there, staring at his phone, rereading that last message, searching for an answer, a reason that would make it all make sense. But it didn't. It never did. The days that followed, hell. Every room felt empty. Every song reminded him of her. The bed felt too big. The phone felt too small. He could still hear her laughter, still picture the way she used to look at him, like he was the only person in the world. But now, that look was gone, cold, distant, as if he had never existed. And the worst part? She moved on so easily, as if he was just a small chapter in her story, a name she'd forget in a few months. But he couldn't forget. His mind became a battlefield, between rage and despair, between wanting to hate her and wanting her back. He replayed every moment, every conversation, trying to find the mistake, the moment it all started to fall apart. Did he love too much, or not enough? He tortured himself with questions that had no answers, lost sleep over a past he couldn't change. And then the advice started coming. Don't contact her. Disappear so she realizes your worth. So he listened, deleted her number, stopped checking her social media. Every time his fingers hovered over the keyboard, tempted to send a message, he stopped himself. He told himself he was being strong. But that was a lie. Because even though he wasn't reaching out, he was still thinking about her, still checking his phone, hoping for a message that never came, still scrolling through old pictures, wondering if she ever truly cared. He told himself he was moving on. But the truth? He was just waiting for her to come back, waiting for the day she realized she made a mistake. But that day never came. And that's when he realized no contact was not enough. It was just a bandage, not a cure. Because as long as his happiness depended on her return, as long as he needed her validation to feel whole, he was still weak. And weakness is never attractive. She didn't respect him when he broke down, and she wouldn't respect him for sitting around waiting for a reunion. He had been playing a game he was destined to lose. And that's when everything changed. If you're ready to take control of your emotions, subscribe to the channel and comment below, "I take control of my emotions." 2. The truth about no contact. Why it's not enough. No contact. It's the advice everyone gives when you've been dumped, ignored, or replaced. Just disappear. She'll come back when she realizes what she lost. Sounds like the perfect plan, right? A battle of patience. A silent but powerful move. So you cut off communication. You vanish. You wait. You picture the day she regrets leaving. The moment she checks her phone, realizes you're no longer there, and panics. You think she'll miss you, stalk your social media, feel the same emptiness you do. But here's the harsh truth. Most of the time, she doesn't. No contact can work, but only if you actually change. Most men don't. They treat it as a tactic, not a transformation. They don't heal. They just wait. Waiting for a text, a call, a sign that she wants them back. But waiting is a form of weakness, because as long as you're hoping she'll return, she still owns you. And women? They can sense this. They know when a man is just pretending to be strong, acting like he's moved on but still emotionally attached. And the moment she realizes you're still waiting, still hoping, she knows she still has power over you. So, what happens next? She doesn't miss you. She moves on. Maybe, just maybe, she checks in after a few weeks, not because she wants to come back, but just to see if you're still there. And if you are, if you respond, if you still care, she leaves again. But this time, she's even more confident in her decision. You were just a game she already won. And this is where most men fail. They get a tiny bit of attention, a little dopamine rush, and they mistake it for a second chance. They get too eager, too quick. They reveal their hand too soon. And in that moment, she knows she was right to leave. So, what's the answer? If no contact isn't enough, then what is? The answer is simple. Become a man she can never reach again. Not just through silence, not by waiting, but by absolute indifference. No pretending, no forcing it, just truly disappearing. When she realizes you're no longer affected, that you've changed so much that even if she wanted to come back, you don't care anymore, that's when she truly feels the loss. And by the time that happens, you won't need her anymore. If you agree, drop a comment. I don't need anyone, I choose myself. 3. The power of indifference. At first he thought no contact was the key, that if he stayed silent long enough, she'd miss him, realize what she lost, and come back. But as time passed, he came to a harsh realization. No contact wasn't enough. Because deep down, he was still waiting, still hoping, still keeping her alive in his mind. And as long as he cared, he was still weak. That's when he decided, no more waiting, no more hoping, no more pretending. It was time for something stronger than no contact, something she wouldn't see coming. Indifference, not just ignoring her, erasing her. She no longer mattered. Her feelings, irrelevant. Her regrets, meaningless. He didn't just cut off contact, he wiped her from his world. No checking her social media, no wondering what she was doing, no leaving the door open, just in case she wanted to come back. Because here's the truth. No contact is silence, but indifference is power. Silence still holds emotional weight. It still means you care. But indifference? That's what truly unsettles people. That's the moment she realizes you're really gone. That's the moment she actually feels the loss. At first, she thought he was just playing a game, just like every other guy, still waiting, still suffering in silence. But then, something changed. He stopped avoiding her. He stopped ignoring her. He stopped acting like the broken man. He had grown beyond her. And then, one day, she checked his social media. She expected to see pain, a man stuck in the past. But instead, no sad quotes, no attempts to get her attention, no mind games. He was living, he was thriving, he didn't care. And the worst part for her? She was no longer part of his story. That's when regret crept in. Why isn't he broken? Why isn't he trying to get me back? Did I make a mistake? Suddenly, she wasn't so sure anymore. She once believed he'd always be there. She once thought he'd always be an option. She once felt certain that no matter what, he'd come back the moment she wanted him to. But now, he had become someone she could never reach again. Because indifference is stronger than silence. People don't crave what they can overlook. They crave what they can't control. When you reach this level of detachment, you don't need to block. You don't need to announce your departure. You simply become someone they can never touch again. If you understand this, comment below, I am untouchable. 4. The dark side of attraction. Why they always come back. She thought she won when she walked away. She believed he would break, drown in regret, stay there, waiting, hoping, ready for the day she got bored and decided to return, because that's what most men do. They beg, they plead, they try to prove their worth, as if love is something that can be negotiated. But he was different. He disappeared, not just from her life, but from her mind. At first, she didn't notice. She was too busy enjoying her freedom, chasing new experiences, maybe even having fun with someone else. In her mind, he was still there, silently suffering, waiting. But then, time passed, and something started to feel off. Where was he? Why wasn't he watching her stories? Why wasn't he waiting like every other guy? And that's when the panic set in. Because human nature is predictable. People don't value what they can easily have. They only crave what they fear losing forever. And when she realized he wasn't just ignoring her, but had truly moved on, something deep inside her awakened. Doubt, curiosity, uncertainty. The man who once adored her, who once did everything for her, had now become a mystery, and nothing is more attractive than a man who is unreachable. This is the dark side of attraction. A brutal truth about human psychology. People are drawn to what they can't control. They desire what is scarce. And the moment he truly left, when he fully removed himself from her world, he created a void she couldn't ignore. That's why they always come back. Not because they miss you, not because they suddenly see your value, but because they hate the idea that you no longer need them. And suddenly the game shifts. She starts checking his social media more, searching for signs that he still cares. Maybe she posts an old photo, sends a random message, acts like nothing happened. But this isn't a genuine attempt to come back. It's a test. She wants to see if she still has influence over him. If he reacts, she wins. If he ignores her, she panics. And this is where most men fail. They mistake her curiosity for real regret. They think it's a sign that she finally realizes what she lost. And the moment they show interest again, the moment they react, she leaves again. And the cycle repeats. But not this time, because he had changed. He understood he was the prize now. He didn't need to prove his worth. He was his worth. And when she finally reached out, expecting to find the weak man she once left behind, she discovered someone else entirely, someone colder, someone who no longer saw her as the future, someone who only saw her as a lesson from the past. And that's when the real regret hit her. Not because she lost him, but because he no longer cared. If you understand this, comment below, "I am the prize." 5. The Stoic transformation. Turning pain into power. The old version of him would have chased. He would have clung to every small sign of attention, mistaking it for hope. He would have overanalyzed every text, every gesture, every interaction, desperately trying to decode whether she still cared. But that man no longer existed. This time, he didn't just move on, he transformed, not to win her back, not to impress her, but for himself, because pain is powerful. For most men, it becomes a prison, a cycle of regret, self-doubt, and endless suffering. But for those who understand the power of Stoicism, pain becomes something else. It becomes fuel. It becomes a weapon. It becomes the catalyst for rebirth. And that's the difference between the weak and the strong. The weak let pain define them. The strong use it to evolve. And that's exactly what he did. He didn't run from the pain, he faced it. He sat with it. He let it sharpen him. Every moment of suffering became a lesson. Every heartbreak became motivation. He stopped wasting time dwelling on the past and redirected all his energy toward a single goal: becoming unbreakable. He started with the mind. Emotional control became his foundation. He studied Stoicism, training himself to master his emotions rather than be controlled by them. He learned the philosophy that shaped warriors and emperors for centuries. He practiced the art of detachment, focusing only on what he could control and accepting reality instead of fighting it. Before, he reacted. Now, he remained calm, unshaken, untouchable. Then he transformed his body, because the mind of a warrior must be matched by the body of a warrior. He took every ounce of energy he had wasted on heartbreak and poured it into discipline. The gym became his battlefield. With every rep, every drop of sweat, he made a silent vow: "I will never be weak again." His physique changed. His posture changed. The way he walked into a room changed, and people noticed. But the most important transformation? His presence. He no longer needed validation. He no longer sought attention. And because he needed nothing, he attracted everything. The same people who once overlooked him were now drawn to him. The woman who once thought she could replace him so easily now stood at a distance, wondering what she had lost. The ultimate victory. This is the essence of real power. No seeking revenge, no craving validation, just becoming so valuable that the past no longer matters. He didn't just move on. He rose so high that she could never reach him again. And the ultimate victory, it's not making someone regret losing you. It's becoming someone they can never have again. 6. Silent domination. Winning without words. The old version of him would have felt the need to prove something. He would have wanted to show her, and the world, that he was doing better without her. He would have posted cryptic quotes, flaunted his progress, hoping she'd see it and regret her decision. But the man he had become had nothing to prove. His success spoke for itself. This is the art of silent domination. No words, no explanations, no announcements, just action. While others wasted time trying to get their ex's attention, he focused on one thing: leveling up. Because he understood a simple yet powerful truth. The most dangerous man in the room is the one who speaks the least, but achieves the most. He didn't block her. He didn't delete old photos out of anger. He didn't play childish games to make her jealous. He simply withdrew his energy, and that's what unsettled her the most. Not just his absence, but the feeling that he had never even been there. No closure, no resentment, no lingering emotions. Just nothing. At first she dismissed it. She told herself he was just pretending, that he was only doing it to get a reaction. But as time passed, a question began to creep into her mind. Why isn't he watching my stories? Why doesn't he care? Did I misjudge him? She expected bitterness, resentment, desperate attempts to get her attention, but she got nothing. Just indifference, just silence, just emptiness. And this is where the real mind game begins. Because when someone who once loved you suddenly erases your existence from their reality, it forces you to reflect. She started remembering the things she once ignored. How well he treated her, how he was always there, until he wasn't. Her curiosity grew. She started mentioning his name in conversations. She scrolled through his social media, searching for any sign that he still cared. But what she found was worse than silence. She expected to see someone stuck in the past. Instead, she saw a man thriving. He looked better, he seemed happier, and the worst part? He wasn't looking back. That's when regret started creeping in. She realized that while she had been chasing temporary thrills, he had become the man she once wanted. But now, she could never have him again. This is why winning without words is the most powerful victory. Because it doesn't come from convincing someone, it comes from becoming undeniable. He understood that silent energy speaks louder than words. He didn't need to tell people he had changed. They could feel it. His presence, his confidence, his success. It all spoke for itself. And when that moment finally came, when she reached out, hoping for a glimpse of the man she once knew, he was already long gone. Because the ultimate power move isn't proving them wrong. It's making them realize they were never a factor in your success. If you understand this, comment below. I let my actions speak. 7. The transformation, creating an aura of mystery. At first he thought disappearing completely was the answer, that if he pulled away, she would wonder, she would miss him, she would regret everything. But then he realized something even more powerful. Total absence is predictable. She could dismiss it, assume he was still bitter, believe he was avoiding her because he hadn't moved on. But a man who is present, yet unreadable, that's the one who haunts her mind. He didn't block her. He didn't seek attention. He simply became unpredictable. Before, he was an open book. Now, he was a puzzle she couldn't solve. No sad quotes, no indirect messages, no obvious attempts to be noticed, just selective presence. A glimpse here, a fleeting moment there, enough to spark curiosity, but never enough for her to figure him out. This is the art of transformation. He didn't disappear. He evolved. Right in front of her, he moved in silence, but left clues. A picture hinting at a life she was no longer part of. A story showing he was doing better, but without context, without captions, without explanations. Only confidence, only presence, only power, and that is what started to eat away at her. Because when a man changes, women instinctively want to know why. Has he met someone else? Has he outgrown me? Was he always this strong and I just never noticed? She started checking his social media more, waiting for a sign, waiting for anything to confirm what she was feeling. But she found nothing, no emotional outbursts, no bitterness, just a man thriving. And the more she tried to figure him out, the more frustrated she became. She once thought she knew him. She once believed she understood him. She was certain he would always be the one who cared more. But now, he felt like a stranger, a mystery. And mystery is magnetic. Because here's the truth. People don't obsess over what they understand. They obsess over what confuses them. They are drawn to what they can't quite grasp. And the moment he became unpredictable, unreadable, untouchable, that's when she couldn't stop thinking about him. But here's the key. He didn't do any of this for her. He didn't become a mystery to lure her back. He did it because he no longer owed anyone an explanation, because his life was his, and she no longer had access to it. Not because she was locked out, but because he chose to walk away. And that is what made her regret everything. If you understand this, comment below, I am a mystery. 8. The final test. When she reaches out. Sooner or later, it happens. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. But at some point, she will reach out. It might be a simple message. Hey, how have you been? A casual reaction to one of your posts. Maybe she brings up an old memory, just to see if it still holds meaning. Sometimes it's just a like, a story view. A subtle reminder that she's still there. But this isn't random. This is a test. And most men fail. One message, and their heart starts racing. Their mind floods with memories. They convince themselves she realized her mistake. And just like that, they fall back into the old cycle. They react too quickly, too eagerly. They try to act cool, but their emotions betray them. And in that moment, she knows. She still has control. But this time it's different. Because this man is no longer the same. He has spent too much time building himself. To fall for the same old games, he sees through it. Because he understands what's really happening. She's not reaching out because she still loves him. She just wants to know if he's still an option. And if he responds with interest. If he shows he still cares. She wins. And everything resets. But he doesn't let that happen. He doesn't ignore her out of anger. He ignores her because she no longer matters. And that is what confuses her the most. She was expecting a reaction, a sign of hesitation, excitement, or regret. Anything to prove that he still feels something. But instead, nothing. And if he does respond, it's calm, short, polite. No doors left open for a long conversation, no signs that he was waiting for this moment. The energy has shifted, and she feels it. Before there was desire. Now there's only indifference, and that throws her off. For the first time, she's the one questioning. Does he still think about me? Has he met someone else? Did I make a mistake? She once thought she had control, but now, she's the one being left behind. She tries to find answers. But the more she searches, the more unfamiliar he feels. This is the final test. And those who pass it, they never look back. Because once you've mastered yourself, once you've stopped seeking external validation, you realize one crucial truth. The past has nothing left for you. If you understand this, comment below, I am in control. 9. The final transformation, becoming truly unbreakable. There comes a moment when a man realizes he is finally free. Not because she came back, not because he won the breakup, but because she no longer matters. Her name doesn't stir emotions. Memories don't haunt him. He feels no need to prove anything, to her or to himself. This is the ultimate turning point, the moment when pain is no longer a burden, but a distant lesson, when he wakes up and doesn't care if she regrets, wonders about him, or notices his success. Those questions, they don't matter anymore, and that, not his silence, not his indifference, is what truly breaks her. She once believed she had time, that the door would always be open, that some part of him would always belong to her. But when she looks back, she finds nothing. No trace of the man she once knew, no lingering attachment, just someone who has moved completely beyond her reach. This is where most people fail. They think moving on means replacing someone, proving something, seeking revenge. But true strength? It doesn't come from making someone else regret losing you. It comes from never needing their validation in the first place. He didn't change to make her jealous. He didn't grow so she'd feel remorse. He became unbreakable. Not to prove a point, but because that's who he was meant to be. And when that happens, the past fades. There's no need to look back. No wondering if she remembers him, because it simply doesn't matter anymore. He has stepped into a new reality, one where he is in complete control. No chasing, no explaining, no proving, just living in a way that commands respect without ever needing to say a word. Not a victim of pain, but an unstoppable force. A man who has risen from the ashes, stronger than ever. And the best part, this story was never about her. 10. A new reality, a life on his own terms. This is it, the final stage. The moment he fully steps into the life he was always meant to live. One no longer ruled by pain. One no longer controlled by the past. One no longer waiting for someone to recognize his worth. Because he realized that long ago. He doesn't wonder what could have been. He doesn't care who she's with. He doesn't check to see if she's watching, hoping for a glimpse of the man she once knew. Because that man no longer exists. What exists now is something far greater. A man who built himself from nothing. A man who has mastered his emotions, sharpened his mind, and strengthened his spirit. A man who walks into every room with quiet confidence, knowing he needs nothing from anyone. The validation he once craved? Irrelevant. The attention he once sought? Meaningless. He doesn't need to be seen, because his presence speaks for itself. And this is what she never saw coming. She thought he would always hold space for her. She assumed the door would always be slightly open. She believed that one day she could turn back and find him right where she left him. But when she looks back, he's gone. Not out of spite, not playing childish games, not blocking her or pretending to ignore her. He's gone because he has outgrown her. And that, not revenge, not resentment, is true power. Not looking back, not needing closure, not holding on to anything that no longer serves him. Because his success is the only closure he ever needed. The life he has built, the man he has become. This is the final chapter. No conversation, no explanations, no unfinished business. Just a man too solid for the past to hold any meaning. And that is what truly breaks her. Not that he moved on, not that he's doing better, but that she no longer exists in his world. She is nothing more than a lesson he once learned. And while she remains stuck in the past, questioning everything, he is thriving in a reality where she no longer has a place, because in the end, the strongest man isn't the one who wins her back. It's the one who is so strong, he doesn't even consider it. My perspective on this is simple. Growth after a breakup isn't about waiting for regret, waiting for closure, waiting for someone to come back. It's about truly letting go. Many people stay stuck in pain, not because they can't move on, but because deep down they don't want to. They wear a strong front, but inside they're still waiting, watching for a sign, hoping for a moment that never comes. But freedom doesn't come from pretending not to care. It comes from genuinely not caring anymore. Attractiveness? It's never about holding on to someone. It's about becoming so valuable that you don't need to hold on to anyone. When a man redirects his energy into self-improvement, sharpening his mind, strengthening his body, and chasing bigger goals, he doesn't just move on. He evolves. And once he does, the question, will she come back, no longer matters, because he's no longer on the same level as her. The real lesson isn't about making her regret losing you. It's about reaching a point where you no longer care whether she regrets it or not. And when you get there, nothing can hurt you anymore. In summary, a man's true journey after a breakup isn't about waiting or hoping for his ex to regret leaving. It's about detaching completely and rebuilding himself from the ground up. At first, the pain feels unbearable. He drowns in questions, desperate for answers, clinging to the idea that silence might pull her back. But here's the truth. No contact is just surface level. If she still occupies his mind, he hasn't truly moved on. The real transformation. It begins the moment he stops waiting, stops seeking validation, and refuses to let the past define him. He doesn't focus on himself out of revenge. He doesn't rebuild to prove a point. He does it because it's the only way to real strength. True power isn't in silence, it's in indifference. It's not about chasing, not about seeking attention. It's about having absolute control over himself, because people aren't drawn to what's easily theirs. They're drawn to what they can never reach. And in the end, the strongest man isn't the one who wins her back. It's the one who rises so high, she can never reach him again. This journey may end here, but for you, it's only just beginning. The moment you stop waiting, the moment you stop searching, the moment you stand firm on your own 2 feet. Because this was never about her, never about making someone regret. This is about you, becoming the kind of man who never needs to look back. You don't need validation from anyone. You don't need to prove your worth, because you are the worth. And when you truly understand that, the past loses its weight. The regrets, the pain, the same thoughts looping over and over, they all fade away. All that remains is a man who cannot be shaken, a man who controls his own destiny. If you've made it this far, you've already risen above most people, because the majority, they're still stuck, waiting, hoping, suffering. But you're different, you're ready to level up. Now is the time to finish what you started, to sharpen yourself, to master your emotions, to move forward with unshakable determination. Because when you're truly strong, when you're truly free, life is no longer about proving anything to anyone. It's about living on your own terms. So if you're ready, really ready, to train yourself, to face challenges head-on, and to take full control of your destiny, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications. The path to greatness isn't for everyone, but if you've come this far, you are not like everyone else. Drop a comment below. From this moment on, I am the only one in control of my destiny. No more waiting, no more hesitation. I choose my own path. Because change doesn't come from words, it comes from action. Now is the time to begin.